Hello fellow Magic players, this is a few more games from our play group that we played yesterday. This time it's against a quick white setup, and I win the roll off to start and open with an Underworld Dreams. This is always a dilemma because I could have waited a turn and got out a use them, but I usually feel like the Underworld Dreams is the safer play in this setup, as he can plowshares or use a Black Knight to block the user. So this is the more conservative play. But he enters with a disenchant, and that brings me at a card disadvantage. I have another Dreams to put on, and he removes that as well. So this is not going well. I've used my entire hand and he's had his answers every time. He attacks and I'm a bit in... I have mana trouble here, so I'm reluctant to use the factory to block him, as he will most doubtedly just kill it with plowshares. So top deck a bolt, and now we are waiting for each other to make a move. Just trying to sinkhole planes. I knew that he was top decking, that he was top curving Sarah Angels in this setup, so I wanted to delay those. There's the first Black Knight and another Black Knight. So now Jusum Djinns are not the best thing, but yeah, I'm contemplating. I remember I had one in hand, but I realize I have to put it down just in order to make a threat so that he can't attack with both knights, but he uses his swords to plowshares, as I knew he had. So this is getting from bad to worse. He's just piling on the creatures, and I don't have any good ways to play, and every time I try to do something he has an answer. So I'm time walking out of desperation, knowing that this is not something that I can withstand for long. He attacks again. I try to block and pump the factory, but Peter, my opponent, reminds me that the factory has summoning sickness, so I have to let them get in. And he follows up with even more creatures, and now the card you can't see is a Crusade, so that finishes the game right there. That means that his Black Knight is 3/3, so I take the Tundra Wolves and take the rest on the chin. And this is game over. Just looking at what to do here. I had a Demonic Tutor. I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I can get out of this situation. And I'm a mana short, actually. I could tutor for a bolt, but then I lack the mana to activate the factory to block, and I'd also take a damage from the City of Brass, so there is no outs that I can think of. But feel free to let me know if there's anything you think I could have done in the comments. So yeah, this is just me having a hard time accepting that it's over, and the tutor can't get me out of this. Quick White is actually pretty hard for me to play against because he has the Black Knights against the Jusums, and he has usually a pretty evil sideboard against me. So yeah, Quick White wins. We go on to round 2. This is after sideboarding. Again, this is just a friendly game, but we usually like to test our sideboards as well. So I know that he probably has Northern Paladins and Karma and all sorts of nastiness. But I've sideboarded in 3 Glooms, an extra Terra, and I've removed the sinkholes. And I have a turn 1 lower. This is usually a great start, but he drew his 1 strip mine, so that's a problem. But I have an Ancestral. This is actually a very, very good opening hand. And uses the Ritual to get into a Spectre. So, not at all a bad start. Plays a Factory and a Lotus. That's an Alpha Lotus, by the way. It's a thing of beauty. Peter's Quick White is fully powered with black bordered power. Oh, fully powered. He has a Pearl and a Lotus in it. So that's a Moorish Cavalry. This is 3/3 trample creature. So it's kind of hilarious to use your Lotus just to play that. And then he plays a Black Ward on it. That's a seldom used card, but I guess he sideboarded it in. Luckily I had a Terror just to kill it as a response. And I get in with the Spectre again and just keep picking lands. This is okay, as I at least can delay him with that, but it's not the best pick as Quick White doesn't need that much mana. I play a Black Knight and he top decks, Jusum Djinn and he top decks a White Knight, so that's not good. But the Spectre can still get in, just keeps on picking his hand, and I get another Spectre. And a Mace of Ith, so I'm pretty stabilized now, holding him in a chokehold, getting in again, but he removes one of the Spectres. I play a Factory and another Jusum. This might seem like a weird play, and it is when he draws another White Knight to block me, but before that I figured I could get in with one of the Jusums. So now we take the same amount of damage, me from the Jusum Djinn and him from the Spectre. I top deck a Disintegrate and managed to get rid of one of the White Knights, so now the situation is a lot better for me. This will be over quickly, I think. That's the thing. That's the thing with Jusums. You can't hold them back for long, but once those cows get in, they finish the game quickly. And yes, he concedes the game there. So it's 1-1 at this point. We seem to take turns just overrunning the other one. So round 3. I don't think any of us changed our sideboards at this point. He draws that Pearl again and opens with a White Knight. So at least I know what to expect here. You probably shouldn't play a Jusum at this point. Dark Ritual, Sorrowing, Gloom, and bought the White Knight. So that's like a perfect opening. Only problem is that I don't have much of a hand left, but this really sets him back with the turn 1 Gloom. But he gets his Sol Ring, and that actually does a lot to mitigate the Gloom's effect. That's pretty unfortunate. I play a Chaos Orb and decide to try and take out the Sol Ring. The whole point of the Gloom was to buy me time to get a stabilized board state before he kills me, and that Sol Ring is real trouble for me. And nails it. But he has an attacking creature. Decides to destroy the Underground Sea, and I terrorize his Clergy. Peter thought that the Clergy couldn't die because I had to pay another mana in order for it not to regenerate, but I believe that the effect of the terror is a bury effect, so you can't regenerate. And we debate that for a short time, and decides that that's probably the correct way to play it. So then the Clergy can't regenerate from the terror. Plays a Factory, that's a free attacker. Still, the Gloom works wonders. I know that he can still play Swords to Plowshares and similar stuff, but he can't explode with his creature base as he usually do. So I play a vampire, followed up by a tutor, and probably going for the standard play with an ancestral recall here, just to get even more of an advantage. Another conceivable card to take would be Time Walk here, just to get another attack and another draw step. But I take the more non-orthodox choice. Or the more orthodox choice, I mean. So he continues building his mana base while I pummel him with the vampire, and this is game over. It's another gloom, but luckily he sneaks in a disenchant just to remove it. So there's still something to play for. Following up with the Spectre. And now he's in real trouble here. They get in for 6 damage. I remove his his black art. That's so funny that he has that card in his deck. I mean, it's probably good if he gets it down, but I still have bolts, so I probably wouldn't use it myself. But then again, it could work. And I bolt him, and that's it. Yeah, he had his Northern Paladin and Armageddons and all sorts of nastiness, but couldn't play it because of the Gloom. Gloom is such a lovely card in this matchup. It's actually the saving grace because it also nullifies his Circles of Protection, which I can't remove. So yeah, all the demons are cheering. So 4th and final game in this matchup. He's on the play. He draws another Pearl again, and with a White Knight. I get a Laura again. Lotus and Underworld Dreams. So that's a solid start. And he piles on the creatures and a Spirit Link on his White Knight. Okay, so that should mitigate Underworld Dreams. I'm not sure about that play. I would probably have kept it in hand against the Deuce and Gens, but still, it's an aggressive play. I bolted, but he still has the Lions, so he's coming out ahead so far. And now some Moorish Cavalry. So all he needs now is a Crusade, and then I'm pretty screwed. But I got the Library of Alexandria into a Mace of Ith, Mox Ruby. Sorry about the angle. I will make sure that shouldn't happen again. We weren't aware that many of the cards, or some of the cards, can't be seen at this angle. So I used the Mace on the Moorish Cavalry. Takes 2 damage from the Lions, and he puts down a Karma. This is really bad, as I don't have much life left. Still, I only had 1 swamp, but or the Badlands. But I remember I was considering what to do here. I didn't have much time until I would die from the creatures and the Karma. And each time I'd put down the land, I'll take more damage. This effect is compounded if I play Deuce and Gens because they also damage me. So I actually elect to discard my swamp, hoping to draw into an Underground Sea or something similar because I need the blue mana for a Twister that I had in hand. But it was not to be, so I had to. I couldn't postpone the plan any longer, and at this point I have to commit before I'm overrun. It just keeps on playing creatures. So I'm placing a Deucemgen as a blocker. So now I'm taking 3 damage just for the Karma and the Deucemgen on top of whatever creature damage he deals me. So this is not good. And uses the Black Ward, so he draws it every time. But this time it's really good because I can't block him. So I block one of the Lions and uses the Mace of Ith on his Moorish Cavalry. Or I changed that to take the damage from the Moorish Cavalry and use the Mace on the Lion, because if I untap the Moorish Cavalry, he can block my Deucemgen. I'm actually going for a Hail Mary here. I want to get in and do some damage with the Jusumjin and then use Wheel of Fortune afterwards for a combined 12 to 13 damage there, and then hopefully draw into a bolt, because I have to end this game now with that Karma out. So that's the play, and so this is the Hail Mary. Really considering what to do here in which order. I need to get in with the Jusumjin before I wheel, because I would just give him a new hand and he would probably draw into a Swords to Plowshares. Considering using the lower at this point, and I do, that's a mistake. I think I should just have attacked with the Jusum, and then I would have had more mana. And everything counts at this point. It's down to the last few rounds, or maybe perhaps the last round here. So again, I'm considering what to do and my options. Decide to attack with the Jusum, and he just takes it. He has so much life that he thinks he's safe. So use the Wheel of Fortune. So this would have been a lot better if I had the lower untapped. So that was a mistake, I said. Hoping to draw a bolt. Peter needs to remove some of the dice. Yeah, he does. So he's at 5 life now. Dark Ritual into a Hypnotic Spectre. I actually had a Factory in hand. I could have played that as well, as I had not made a land drop at this point. That was another mistake, but it wouldn't matter, as I had no mana to activate it because I've used the Library of Alexandria. So that's something I should have thought of. But he strip mines the Mace of Ith anyway, so this is game over then. So that's the end of the third round. This is my hand. Didn't have the time to get down those dreams. It would have been fun to have all 3 dreams against him. That was it. So that's cheers for the light side. So that's 2-2 for this particular matchup for the evening. That's acceptable, but there's room for improvement nonetheless. I have some trouble with the quick white archetype, mainly because of the main deck White Knights that are able to just straight up block my Jusumjins, and then the Jusumjins will slowly kill me over time. And also because that quick white tends to do a ton of damage early on in the game, and this is compounded by the fact that I use Jusumjins and City of Brass in this deck. That also tends to damage me. So in the end, it usually comes down to a race of whether I have enough life to get into late game and win there, or if I die before that. Another race against the quick white archetype is a sideboard race. They, as said, tend to have a very, very vicious sideboard against mono black, and it usually comes down to who gets Karma versus Gloom out first. Here I should have an advantage because I use Dark Rituals, but still it can very, very easily go wrong, as we saw in the last game, when he gets a Karma out, I have very few ways of removing it in my current deck. Some considerations having after these 4 matches is taking the Jusums out of the deck after the first round. The reason being that those 4 White Knights shuts the Jusum down too easily, and also there's a risk of White using Spirit Links after sideboard against the Jusumjins. And as said, the Jusums tend to damage myself over time, and this can be a rather critical drawback in this matchup. That's all about me getting to the late game. Taking the Jusums out for cards that provide more board state stability. Cards such as the Mineral's Disc that also gives me an out against Karma. could be the better solution here. At the moment I'm using Disintegrate over Fireball in the main deck. I like having such an X damage spell as an extra win con, but using Disintegrate over Fireball here could be puzzling to some players. The reason I'm using Disintegrate at the moment is because I'm having some trouble against Disco Troll as well, and Disintegrate helps in that matchup, so my Juice and Gins can get in. But another tweak here would be to remove the Disintegrates to put in a Fireball to stand marginally better against these kinds of aggro decks. Perhaps balanced with putting an extra terror in sideboard against Disco Troll. So that's it for these matches against Quick White. The same evening I had some matches against Red White deck, and I'll be posting them shortly. Thanks for watching.